We will now analyze China's recent trade policies, beginning with tariffs. In 2011, tariff revenue accounted for 2.7% of all government revenue, relatively a low percentage. Further, the average applied tariff on goods and services in China is about 9.5%, with food, beverages, tobacco, textiles, and leather holding the highest tariffs. In addition to these tariffs, China has several other non-tariff barriers. For example, China requires specific import and export licenses to be completed before trade can occur. The Chinese government has described these non-tariff barriers as a way to guide the allocation of their resources in their favor, denying a manipulation of trade. This graph displays China's tariffs as a percent for different types of industries. As you can see, the highest tariffs are applied to food, beverages, and tobacco, as well as to textiles and leather, with food, beverages, and tobacco holding tariffs as high as 22.5%. In addition to tariffs, the Chinese government implements several subsidies to their producers. We know that government assistance in general is an important feature of the country's policymaking, including direct grants given to firms, subsidized loans given to companies, and tax benefits for several business practices. However, the information regarding China's subsidies given directly to firms remains undisclosed. In 2011, China notified the World Trade Organization of its subsidies, but did not provide a measure of magnitude or specific numbers. Despite this lack of information, economists and analysts believe the subsidies to be considerably large.
Hello and welcome to Money Trail with me, Amir Arafat. Today, China overtakes the United States as the world's top trading partner. According to International Monetary Fund data called from some 180 countries, in just 5 years, China has surpassed the United States as a trading partner for much of the world, including U.S. allies such as South Korea and Australia. As recently as 2006, the U.S. was the largest trading partner for some 127 countries versus just 70 for China. But the two have clearly traded places. 124 countries for China, 76 for the U.S. China is well on its way to becoming a formidable global power. The size of its economy has quadrupled since the launch of market reforms in the late 1970s, and by some estimates will double again over the next decade. It has become one of the world's major manufacturing centers and consumes roughly a third of the global supply of iron, steel, and coal. It has accumulated massive foreign reserves, well over $1 trillion. China's military spending has increased at an inflation-adjusted rate of over 18% a year. And its diplomacy has extended its reach not just in Asia, but also in Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East. Indeed, whereas the Soviet Union rivaled the United States as a military competitor only, China is emerging as both a military and an economic rival, heralding a profound shift in the distribution of global power. In terms of economic weight, for example, China will surpass the United States as the largest state in the global system sometime around 2020.
There are two main reasons for China's economic growth. The first is their large-scale capital investment. The rate of savings as a percentage of GDP has risen, reaching 53% in 2008. Such large savings allows China to boost domestic investment. Yet, since China's gross domestic savings tends to be larger than their investment levels, they have become the largest net global lenders. The second is a rapid growth in productivity. A large part of this growth in productivity is a result of the reallocations of resources to more productive sectors such as agriculture, trade, and services. Also, a larger part of the economy was exposed to a more competitive environment, especially exports. Lastly, foreign direct investment in China brought new technology and processes that boosted efficiency. When analyzing China's economy and standard of living relative to the U.S., using nominal exchange rates to convert Chinese data to U.S. dollars fails to reflect its true size. When adjusting for this price differentiation in comparison to the global economy, the value of China's GDP in 2012 raises from 8.2 trillion nominal dollars to 12.6 trillion real dollars. This indicates that China's economy is 80% the size of the U.S. economy, and its share of global GDP rose from 3.7% in 1990 to 15% in 2012. Many predict that China will soon overtake the U.S. as the world's largest economy by 2017, but will take many years for its living standards to approach that of the level of the U.S. It is also clear that China has emerged as the world's largest manufacturer, and it plays a considerably important role in the Chinese economy. The following chart reflects the gross value added data that reflects the manufacturing that occurred within the country. In 2006, China overtook Japan, who was at the time the second largest manufacturer, and in 2010, they overtook the United States. China's huge population and relatively low wage rates has given them a significant competitive advantage in the past. However, in recent years, wages have risen. From 2000 to 2012, the Chinese average real wage has grown at an average annual rate of 11.8%. In 2000, China's average monthly wage was $94, compared to their average monthly wage of $625 in 2012. These rising labor costs pose a risk to China and forces them to boost the nation's innovation and productivity levels. Foreign direct investment has been a major source of China's productivity gains and rapid economic and trade growth. In 2010, there was reported 445,244 foreign invested enterprises employing 55.2 million workers, which is about 16% of the urban workforce. As Figure 8 shows, foreign invested firms accounted for a large share of China's industrial output and has risen from 2.3% in 1990 to about 27% in 2010. According to the Chinese government, annual FDI flows into China grew from $2 billion in 1985 to $108 billion in 2008. But due to the global economic slowdown, FDI flows to China have slowed throughout the past few years. Even with the slowdown, China was the second largest destination for FDI flows in 2012, with major sources from Hong Kong, British Virgin Islands, Japan, and the U.S.
There are certain factors that China tries to carry out to attract foreign direct investment into the country. Some of these include providing economic incentives such as no rent for plant premises, cutting tariffs to rejoin GATT, and reforming foreign exchange and major tax systems. With regards to more foreign direct investment, China is trying to lean towards a more capitalist economic system to attract Western businesses. China has signed investment protection treaties with various European countries, Japan, and Canada. China has also made taxation treaties with the United States. Most of China's foreign direct investments come in the form of joint venture manufacturing agreements. This means that foreigners provide capital and management skills, while local Chinese enterprises are responsible for internal management functions, such as employment, production, and supervision. One of the FDI moves on China's part includes obtaining individual and corporate exchange holdings, largely in countries such as Hong Kong. These holdings are later to be reinvested in the homeland.
While China's economy has shown much growth over the past few years, there are a few challenges that could pose a threat in the long run. First, China has not completely transitioned into a market economy and is instead considered a socialist market economy, which allows the use of free market forces, but the government still plays a major role in the development of the country. Second, China does not allow its currency to float, so it has to make large purchases of dollars to keep the exchange rate at a target level, and its currency has been argued to be undervalued, which makes exports less expensive and imports more expensive. Thirdly, fixed investments related to tradable goods plus net exports accounted for more than 60% of China's GDP growth from 2001 to 2008. And lastly, there has been a growth of heavy industry in China that is energy intensive and highly polluting. If the levels of pollution continue to grow, they could pose serious health risks to the people of China.